I am proud of my country's heritage. We're living on freedom soil. Brave men have gone before me here, unafraid to pray and toil.
Hi, I'm Ron McBain. We're talking about government of the people, and this is part 6. And we're looking at the 9th Amendment. And what we're seeing is that the 9th and 10th Amendments are written in our Constitution, and they're defined in the ratification letters, which is their source. They work together, the 9th and 10th Amendments. They're partners. And what they do is they set the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. You know, they set the strict declaration or restriction of vested powers of the federal government. The 9th Amendment, we'll take a look at it in the ratification letters. I'll show you where you can take a look at it. And I gave you some points that I think are relevant. It was the 11th article in the Bill of Rights. We didn't ratify 2 of the articles, so it ends up being the 9th Amendment. And it says that the enumeration, the listing or numbering in the Constitution and or numbering in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed, and that's to understand or explain the sense or intention of something. And this is usually in a particular way or with respect to a given set of circumstances. It's not to be construed, okay, it's not to be explained in a certain way to deny or disparage other rights retained by the people. Deny and disparage, if you look them up, really they'll say that disparage is to deny and deny is to disparage. The best I can see in their usage and in definitions is to deny is to keep from having, and to disparage is to take away from. Okay, to take away from. What we're seeing is the written documentation of the government of the people. What we're seeing is the written documentation. Okay, here we're seeing where it's written, what it is, the government of the people. Okay, this is our government, our Constitution. 7 states recommended changes or additions, a fix, if you would, to the proposed Constitution. And again, we'll go through these and show you where specifically it's written that that's what they're doing. They're fixing problems in the proposed Constitution. They called these additions, they called them alterations, they called them provisions, and they called them amendments. They all came from these ratification letters that were written by the representatives of the people. Massachusetts, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, Rhode Island, and Providence Plantation all made these. So you had a majority, 7 out of the 13. The other 6 did not add amendments. In Rhode Island, I want to read this to you from Rhode Island. I think these things are useful. These letters, as you read through them, you'll get a tremendous sense of where the people, what they meant in our Constitution, what it's supposed to be. And in paragraph 3 of Rhode Island's ratification letter, that there are certain natural rights of which men, that's human beings, when they form a social compact, cannot deprive or divest, there's those words again, their posterity. And that's their children and their children's children. That's me, because this was kept for me by the generations that came before me, and grandchildren, that's you, as it's being kept for you, and then you'll keep it for your children and your grandchildren. And what he's saying, this word social compact becomes very important. There are 2 types of governments, and then there's a blending of those. And in one, people make an agreement, humans make an agreement. I won't steal your life, liberty, and property. I won't kill or destroy. And you won't steal, kill, or destroy my life or liberty or property. And if anybody attacks us, we'll agree together to defend each other. And we'll make such laws as we need to get along. It's an agreement. In the other, and the one usually morphs, the latter usually morphs out of the former, you have a position where people, a certain group of people, consider that they should be the ones to rule over the other group of people, and the other group of people are required to do what they say. Here they're saying, we can't do this. When we make this government, we can't do this. We can't take this away or prevent from having these things that we're going to go through here from our children. And there's a reason for this. The reason is that governments had done this. And again, I'll show you this as we go through. We'll go through the documentation on it. Governments had done just this. They had taken these things away. Don't want that. And that's what we're making a government of the people for. It's unique in all time. And what we're going to make sure we don't allow to be taken away or made so you can't get from our children is the enjoyment of life, okay, and of liberty, the right to choose within the restrictions of not hurting others, and the means of acquiring, possessing, and protecting three things: property, and pursuing and obtaining happiness and safety. It was every citizen has the right to acquire, to possess, to hold, to have, and to protect their own property. And we won't take from each other, and we will defend each other. That's part of citizenship. Obtaining happiness, good luck. Safety, you're going to see the word safety often used with free. If you're looking at the ratification letters, you'll find free and safe often together, and we'll go through that and why that's there. This and the government of the people are the rights of the citizens. And as we go through, we'll look at the difference between a citizen's rights and what are called civil rights, which is a huge difference. In paragraph 4 of Rhode Island's ratification letters, they say this: that all power is naturally vested in and consequently derived from the people. And this is consistent through these 7 ratification letters. It's the people who are being represented by these conventions, and it's the people who have the power. And whenever the states are saying this is our power, it's as representatives of the people who the states having had power vested to them from the people. That magistrates, okay, that's our representatives, our government, therefore are there the people's trustees. A trustee is a person who's responsible for the property of another. Okay, we're vesting power to them. It's our power, always. And agents. An agent is somebody who makes happen what we want to have done. And at all times amenable, the government answers to the people, what we tell them to do. And when we say to do something, that they do that. And that's to them, the people. You have to understand the way we do that, though, to keep this from being a mess, is by our Constitution, and the importance of the Declaration and the restriction in that Constitution is huge. Otherwise, it ends up not being what the people want. It ends up being what somebody wants. And we'll go through that. In the 5th paragraph, they say this: that the powers of the government may be reassumed by the people whenever it should become necessary to their happiness. And further down in that 5th paragraph, it says, and that these clauses in the Constitution, those clauses in the Constitution, those places where we put, if you want to see the restrictions in the Constitution, do a word search. Put your Constitution in a word processing document. Put it in your word processor and then do a word search for the word no, N-O. It'll pick up nothing. And you won't get all of them, but you'll get most of, no, don't do this. It's in there. And that's where you'll see these, and they're all through there. I ended up with almost 6 pages just with the context of these. Anyways, that these clauses, okay, which declare Congress shall not have or exercise, either one, certain powers do not imply, no implication ever, no implying, no inferring, that Congress is entitled to any power not given by the said Constitution, but such clauses are to be construed as exceptions to certain specified powers. Now, I use the word specific now. The powers are declared there clearly, particularly, expressly, and they're specific powers. Specified powers, or as inserted merely for greater caution. This is similarly done. I'll go on in the next section with more of this Ninth Amendment so that we can see it. This is going to help us when you get into elections, when you're dealing with politics, when you're dealing with what's going on with government. This is going to help us understand just what's happening.
Yes, our God still bears his mighty arm when men to him are loyal. Yes, our God still bears his mighty arm when men to